So our buddy Tyson passed away on April 5th, 2024. And I was away when I heard about it and saw it. And I'm just so sad. This dude was special. Since I was away and kind of, not alone, but I was kind of by myself and in my thoughts about this guy, I wanted to talk about it a bit because, when you step back and look at it from this perspective, you're like, what made this guy so special? And I asked some friends about it. I said, how would you describe the qualities of Tyson? He passed away, and the stories that have come out about how wonderful he was, how many people loved him, are just incredible. And, I've got a friend who knows him fairly well, wasn't super close with him. And he says, he sent me a text. He goes, I've never seen the amount of stories and posts that I'm seeing now for this guy. He was a very loved guy. And I said, "Yeah, he was." And he said, "Tell me more about him." He wanted to know more about Tyson. So I said, "Hey, let me record something because I think it would be fun to articulate it." One of our mutual friends, Laura, who knew him really well, and I've known her for 30 years or so. And I said, what is it about this guy? What were his qualities? And she wrote me this beautiful message about it. And I asked for her permission to repeat it. And Laura said, he was so authentic, and as you know, he would let his opinions be known with a smiley face. He was there for you anytime you needed him. There's a reason why he has so many friends across so many different groups and ages. You meet Tyson, and he's a friend. He was this big, burly guy, yet he was vulnerable. He would tear up at the smallest gesture. You were always met with a smile, a big hug, and a hey, darling. He had the best laugh and sense of humor. He was everyone's biggest cheerleader. He was genuinely happy for his friends and wanted them to do well. He was just one of those solid, down to earth guys that you could just hang out with and talk about anything. I'm going to miss him so much. And I thought that was perfect. That is Tyson in one paragraph. And there's so much more to him as well. And I've got chats that been going through with him. So we were using Facebook Messenger together, and my earliest chat with him goes back to June 20th, 2007. So 17 years of messages, and I've gone through and read every one of them and scrolling in them and sort of, looking at it now that he's gone, looking at it from this perspective about like, look at what this dude did. So I'll share some of them with you just so you get a sense what Tyson was about. On June 20th, 2007, he sent me a message. He goes, "Hey man, are you selling those support shirts? If so, I'll take one. If they were limited run, then at least give your mom and my best for my family to her, okay? Say hey to your dad and sis too." So my whole family knew Tyson. He lived a couple blocks away from us in Brookswood. I've known him since I was probably 6 or 7 years old. He went to high school with my sister, same grade, and knew my dad through the car scene and just being in the neighborhood. And this is June 20th, 2007. My mom was dealing with cancer at that time. So she had been diagnosed in 2004. And he sent me this nice message because we had these shirts made to support her and her journey through cancer. And he wanted to get one of the shirts. And I just thought, that's so cool. He just out of the blue asked for that, and very, very warm. And so I sent him a message back, and then I told him he really loved, he loved cars and boats, and we had all these conversations going back and forth about Chris Crafts and Impalas and things like that. But my mom ended up passing away 5 days later after that text. And then he sent me a text on the day that she passed. I know you're probably inundated with emails and calls and stuff. Want to let you know I'm truly sorry to hear about your mom. Really nice message. There's more to it than that. And then, like 6 or 7 days later, he sent me this beautiful poem. And, this is 17 years ago. So as I was scrolling through, I'm like, I forgot that he had done that. I hadn't scrolled back that far in a long time. And he sent me this beautiful poem, just about my mom and things like that. And I thought that was so nice. And then, we're going back and forth as 2007, 2008, talking about cars and stuff like that. And then it's like, Tyson had a tight crew. He had people that he hung out with all the time, road trips and holidays and dinners and stuff like that. And so we're sort of like texting once a year, once or twice a year, 2009, 2010, 2011. And then I see on here that they're pregnant. So this is March 2012. I said, "Hey, I was off social media actually for a few years, and I said, "Hey, did I see that you guys were pregnant?" I was out of the loop. And he says, "Yeah, we are. Thank you. Due first week of May. We are having a wee girl. Her name is Davis, and Davis Cara. Davis is my mom's maiden name, and Cara is for Danya's granny." And he was so excited. Some of his friends had boys, and he's having a girl, so he's stoked and very happy about that. And going back and forth about kids. 2012, 2013, talking about his Impalas and stuff like that. And, along the way, he's also sharing about some, good news and bad news. He's always there. He just like sort of pops in. I'm scrolling back a little bit in 2010. Suzanne, my wife's Suzanne's dad passed away, and he sent a beautiful message about that on November 18th, 2010, supporting us and saying he's thinking about us. Then we go back and forth a bit more and he had some health scares, sort of early on in the 2012 and 13. And I think we bonded a little bit about loss. We had both had some loss in our lives, and you just kind of see the guy and you a little nod. He's been through some stuff. I've been through some stuff, and it was really sweet that we'd check in on each other. He'd check in on me. And then, he sent me this message in 2016 about this I Love the 90s tour. He knew I love 90s hip hop, Vanilla Ice, Salt and Pepper, Spinderella, Rob Bass, All for One, Color Me Bad, Young MC. And actually, I think I went to that concert out in Abbotsford, maybe because he sent it to me. Going back and forth on cars and things like that. And I'd send him this thing about, because he was into boats and he liked Slayer and Metallica and Iron Maiden and things like that. And there's a boat. Slayer has some writing that's very distinct. When you see the Slayer name, the text and from an album or CD or whatever. And there was a guy that took a boat, and instead of Slayer, it said Sailor in the exact same text, and it's Sayler. Sort of got the Slayer words and sent that to him. He sent me some stuff about the Canucks. He was always mad at the Canucks and things like that. And it was funny because Laura said he let his opinions be known. And he would get into it with some people every once in a while. And it was always funny because and it was so interesting. I saw a quote. It's actually a football coach. And by football, I mean soccer over in the UK. And famous soccer coach, he got a red card for being rude or, yelling. And this made me think of Tyson. He said, when he was asked about his red card, he said, "Yes, I was rude, but I was rude to an idiot." And the media is laughing when he said that, and this kind of reminded me of Tyson. He wasn't rude to many people, but if you were an idiot, he was going to let you know. Hey, he's going to light you up and let you know that you're being an idiot. And I just thought that was so timely to see that quote, right after Tyson passed. And then I just wanted to sort of explain all these things because what made him special, and he's in a car club, and a bunch of guys in my car club know who he is. I asked them about him, and same thing, just like the most solid dude I've ever met, always had your back, so many repeat comments about this. And whenever I saw him, he had this smile that he was just like, he's going to tell you something funny. He's going to ask you about something that he'd asked you about in the past. So he connected it. Like, he didn't forget about things. He remembered where you were at in life. And last year, I had a fun experience with him. Like I said, we didn't hang out all the time, but I said, hey, I'm going to take you to a chemo appointment. So he had chemo and he let me know about it. And he'd sort of let me know about the cycle and things like that. And so I said, okay, I'm going to come pick you up and take you out there. So I picked him up at his house on a Friday at about 8 a.m. and we drove out to Abbotsford. Got to hang out for the whole day. Like I picked him up at 8 and I think I dropped him off at his house at 4 or 5 or something like that. And this is when I got to see sort of full Tyson, fully in action. This is not a fun thing to go through, but you wouldn't really know it. He didn't sit there and complain. But if he complained, he had this way of sort of making light of it. And then we get to the hospital, and it's like everyone knows him. He rolls in. He's like, "Hey, yeah, yeah, I know where to go." Goes in, gets into his chair. The nurses come up, and they got a big smile on their face. It's Tyson, and he's talking to them about finding the vein or whatever they need to do, and they're smiling and chuckling. So he had this way of making people's days better. He was going through this stuff, but he made the nurses' days more fun. He made light of things. He didn't complain. He was always sort of just rolling with it. Yep, this is what I got to do. And got to hang out with him for that whole day and talked about everything. Talked about our childhood and BMX racing and you know music tastes and car tastes, and it was just a wonderful time that we got to spend together. And then talking about cars and sort of always learning something with Tyson. It was really funny because he gets into my car and my car has these door handles that are, you have to press a button. So they need battery power, electric power. And he goes, the emergency way of opening these, right? And I'm like, I've had this car for like 2 years. And I'm like, no, no, what are you talking about? And he shows me how to open the door without using the button. And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And I pull out this hammer. I've got one of these hammers you can buy on Amazon that smashes glass and cuts seatbelts if you're ever like upside down in a ditch and you need to get out and you've got no power. I said, "Look at this. I've got this hammer to break the glass in case there's no electrical current in the car." And he's laughing. And then I go home and show my kids. I'm like, "Did you know that this existed? Like that you can get out of the car by pulling this lever?" And they're like, "No way, that's awesome." Sometimes they use that just for fun now. And I'm like, that I said that my buddy Tyson, taught me how to do that. And so again, I just wanted to explain and talk about it a bit because this guy was so great. So many friends, so many stories on Facebook. It's unbelievable the stories that people have about him. And one that stuck out to me that again just was sort of the epitome of Tyson is this guy goes on to his Facebook page and says, I've known him for years, but I've never met him. So they met on a car, sort of a car discussion board. They both like the same types of cars. And the guy's in Australia, and they would like exchange T-shirts from concerts, and if he went to a concert, he'd send him one. And this guy's like, I never met the guy, but I loved him, and I was just blown away. Like it's another Tyson story about how special he was. A lot of times I'm not religious, so I ask myself a lot, why does the world take great people like this? Why take this guy? It's so unfair. And I've been thinking about it a lot is that I think that, the way that I kind of view this is the type of guy that, sort of makes the world a bit better because it makes us all sort of stop and slow down and think twice about the qualities about what makes humans great and what makes a great person. So it's like his passing is making us all a bit better. It's all making us a bit kinder to be a bit more like Tyson. And that's what I'm really experiencing is people are just these stories and his qualities are just like come up to the surface. Like this is what being an awesome person is all about. And I also have this other analogy, like kind of like a shooting star. Like a shooting star is not really a star; it's like a meteorite or this thing that sort of lights up, blazes through the sky, and everyone's in awe. Like, look at that! It's amazing. But unfortunately, it ends up going dark. Because you saw it, you were amazed, and that's kind of like how I feel about Tyson is because we got to know him, because we got to meet him. We're all sort of amazed and better because of it. And so I wanted to read this poem that he sent. Again, it's just back in 2007. I'll end it with this. So here's the poem that Tyson wrote to me on July 2007. It's called Do Not Stand at My Grave and Weep. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am a thousand winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die. Just thought that was so beautiful. Thank you, Tyson. I love you, Tyson. To Tyson's family and friends, I'm so sorry. We're going to miss this guy. It's not going to be the same without him rolling around in his car and his big laugh and smile. Going to miss you so much.